right. Hey, welcome everyone to Studio W, the Buzz, your global radio network. We circle this thing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with some of the finest shows you can find anywhere around the globe. And now it's time for the Boomerang. And I see my trusted co-host there, Ann Wooten Taylor. Hey, Ann.
Hey, my friend, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. The madman, he won't be on today. He's not feeling well.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah, I hope he gets better soon. But what I think is, I hope he's listening. He had this big party last Thursday,
Oh,
huge party. I think there was upwards of 50 people there, and he was
wow.
cooking, he was DJing, and he was telling me that he had about 40 pounds of prime rib to feed 50 people. I said, wow, wow, wow.
Wow. That's
So,
a,
man, hope you get better soon. Yeah,
yeah.
a little too much party in there, bro. That's what I think was going on.
I hope he's okay because there's like a nasty strain of the flu that's going around. So, yeah, we hope and pray he doesn't have that.
Well, I hope that also. All jokes aside, all
Yeah,
jokes aside. So anyway, thank you, my friend, that you're here with me.
of
This is a
course.
rare occasion,
I know it hadn't been just the two of us in a long time.
a long
You
time, a
know how
long.
you like to talk, so we won't miss a beat.
Thanks for that. I really appreciate that, Ann.
Welcome. Whatever I can do, you know.
I know I can always count on you. I can always count on you. Oh boy, what a week!
I
Well, before we get into
know.
that, how was your week?
I got this really, really special surprise on Friday that I was not expecting. And
Okay.
that was Marjorie Taylor Greene saying she was quitting. I, I was so happy. I was like, praise Jesus.
I told you.
that was unexpected and much appreciated.
I what did I say? Look out for some miracles. Some things are going to happen. I think we are in for some huge surprises. I really do.
Mhm,
Interesting week. Interesting week. I was checking. I'm going to play a clip because there's some things going on,
mhm.
and our illustrious, and I'm being sarcastic all the way.
Right.
Illustrious, classy, okay, leader.
Yeah, yeah.
we,
Sarcasm.
we say, "Hey, bro, who you talking about?"
Right. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
I do not. I don't think there's any resemblance to those remarks, but okay.
You know I'm being sarcastic. You already know that.
Yeah.
Yes. He was on. I think he was on Air Force One, and the reporter
Mhm.
was asking him some questions. And said, "Hey, be quiet, Piggy." He said, "Wait a
Yeah,
minute. Hold it. Hold
yeah.
it. Hold it." You know, and on all seriousness, the United States is supposed to be that shiny house on the hill. I
Mhm,
mean, a symbol or emblem of how the rest of the world should govern themselves.
mhm.
Class. And and we have done a lot of things that a lot of people aren't aware of, but it has been perceived that we have a lot of class.
Mm.
We have everything here. It's supposed to be the number one. Well, we proclaim ourselves as the best country in the world.
Right,
I
right.
don't know whether that's true or not, but I hope, based on what I see right now, uh, if we're the best, then
Mm,
I hate to see the worst.
right.
It is absolutely crazy, but I can't understand how anyone can put up with the president of the United States calling somebody piggy. Now,
Mhm.
I didn't see I think I saw a picture of the lady, and whether she was overweight or not, but the picture didn't look like she was, the picture that I saw. But whether she was or not, that is something that you do not do. That
Mm,
officer is supposed to be an example of how we're supposed to govern ourselves.
right.
And it's like it's gone into a third world, or like a third world regime, as far as I'm concerned. But that makes absolutely no sense. Um, and then he has his press secretary. This woman, I thought that who was that one boy? What's the one? Oh my boy, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and right
Mm,
after that was Kelly McEnany, I believe. I
mm.
said, "Wow, these women lie more than a rug." But this one.
Pun so intended.
But
Dad
she,
jokes on full display.
I mean, she absolutely takes the cake. And they were talking about, the reporters were asking him because he did something that I think, in my opinion, I think
Mhm,
Congress really needs, whether you're Republican or Democrat, you need to take a look at that.
mhm.
Um, and the reporter was saying, why is he calling for the death of certain Congress people? You
The
know,
same reason why he did it before January 6th. I mean, I'm sorry. I really I can understand if this was something that happened 20 years ago, but folks, it was January 6th of 2020. I mean, it's not
2021,
I'm sorry, 2021. It wasn't that long ago. How
right?
is it that you are confused that he would call for the death of people today when he did it before? And his base, the folks that he let out of jail, not, by the way, they did exactly what he told them to do. They
That's right.
came to the Capitol. They set up a doggone hangman's noose in, in front of the Capitol, okay, in front of Congress. They stormed the Capitol. They had zip ties. They meant to kill some people, including the Vice President of the United States of America. Not to
Mhm.
mention the people in Congress that they didn't like. This is nothing new. I would have been more surprised if he didn't do it because that's who he is, and that's what he always does. He always promotes violence against people he doesn't like. He does it in his rallies. He does it in his speeches when he's going off on a tangent. He always calls for people to be hurt,
Right.
especially political opponents. So where's the confusion?
Well,
I guess I don't understand.
I tell you what, I do understand. I understand exactly what you're saying, uh, and I'm not really surprised. But when you go to that extreme, and see, this is the thing. Uh, that what is her name? They call her Carol Lyon Levitt, right? So, and
Right.
let's see, I was trying to find that clip, and she was talking about, well, when you get up there and you are telling soldiers to disobey orders, then that is something that that really can't be tolerated. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. And so
Mhm,
the reporter called out. She says, "No, they said peaceful. You
mhm,
cannot, illegal orders. You cannot disobey legal orders, right?
mhm.
But
It
with the military code, their
mhm.
code of conduct, and I thought, what is it called? The USMG. I forgot exactly what it is. I wish I had a military
US
person on. I said,
Yeah,
United
Reverend
States
Dimmer used
Military
to be
Code.
the one who could do that, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Right,
And they had they had a lot of JAG attorneys who they could go and
USM,
talk to discuss US military code and
right,
what would be the correct thing or not the incorrect thing to do. And one of the first things Pete Hegseth did was fire all those people.
right. And
So that's they
yeah,
need somebody to tell them what they cannot go and ask questions about at this point because those people have been removed. Anybody that would keep them from doing committing an act that would be illegal, they've been removed.
right,
And
absolutely.
loyalists have been put in place.
Right. And see that the United States Military Code of Conduct, it states that you are required. It's
Hmm.
not whether you should or could or whether there's a question there. If it's illegal, you're required not to follow that order.
Right.
Because when it all said and done, and it comes down to a military trial or whatever it is, hey, bro, you are going down. If you
Right.
follow
Right.
something that you know to be illegal, then no, there's no. Well, I was following my commander. Oh, I was no, 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 no. I don't care if you was following that knucklehead in the in the White House. It
Mhm.
is wrong, and you will go down for that. it's absolutely required. As a matter of fact, I'm going to play this clip coming up, but it is absolutely ridiculous. And then right after that, I want to talk about what's going on with ICE, which I think needs to be dismantled completely. Okay, and then I want to talk about Venezuela. One thing that what I'm discovering is that everything that they tell you, the reasons why they're doing something, that's not the motivation behind what they do. There's always an underlying reason that they are doing something, and it has nothing to do with what they tell us. They have no problems giving us a smoke screen and
Right.
and telling us, okay, well, we're doing this because of drugs, or we're doing this because, or we have ICE out in there because everything's out of control. But if you notice, it's only in the blue states. Let's
Mm-hmm.
see. Let's hold on 1 second. Okay, is this okay? Okay, let's see if this is the one. Okay, okay, no, where is it? Oh, this one right here. Ladies and gentlemen, please excuse the language because this brother doesn't hold back. Please, again, I want to say up front, please forgive the language. All right, let's go.
I'm Coach D. So I've been noticing the subscriber numbers going up a lot faster than usual. So I wanted to thank you guys. I really do appreciate you. Please keep liking, keep sharing, keep subscribing to my channel. So I'm back here again to talk about, and if I haven't said this before, a trashy ass administration. Nothing but trash running this administration. Nothing but trash would want to be in any way associated with this administration. Recently, former members of the CIA, FBI, armed forces, politicians, a couple of people made a video basically telling our armed forces that they're not obligated to obey illegal orders. Those were their words. You guys are under a lot of stress right now. Just letting you know, if you're given any illegal orders, you're not obligated to obey them. You can always follow the Constitution and not obey any illegal orders.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
who take risks each day.
To keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals.
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
But from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
you must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
Or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
In the Army,
Our Navy,
The Air Force.
your vigilance is critical
and know that we have your back.
because now, more than ever,
The American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws.
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
If you live in a Virginia zip code and have 0 DUIs in the last 5 years, listen carefully. I was an insurance agent for 30 years, and what I'm about to tell you could save you.
Okay, we're back. They were clear. They said you must refuse to follow or carry out an illegal order. But these clowns, they're trying to say, well, you're supposed to follow the president of the United States or, and then Caroline Levitt, she was saying, well, the president hasn't given any illegal orders. Well, I think what ICE is doing in the streets, I think, and I understand that over 170 U.S. American legal American citizens have been arrested and or detained. there have been, I think, almost a dozen, I think it's more than that, have been killed while in their custody. I think it's more than a dozen. One man read an article today that he was in ICE custody, detained, and he was found hung.
Mm.
Okay, now what's really strange about that story, and his hands were tied and his feet were tied. How are you going to hang yourself if your hands are tied? I think that's a really good question.
It's the same type of lies they've been telling people for years when it comes to lynching, because that's basically what that was. I want to make sure people understand what we were talking about before we go to that topic, though, with the military oaths. And so this article that was written by Ivan Pereira on November 20th for ABC News, I think will help with that. So it says what the military oath of enlistment says about legal and illegal orders. Military members can be prosecuted for following orders that are unlawful. A war of words between President Donald Trump and Democratic military and national security veterans on Capitol Hill has opened up a discussion about legal and illegal orders. But the law governing the military clearly prohibits those in the service from following orders that are unlawful. The issue came up after Democratic Senator Alyssa Slotkin, who served in the Central Intelligence Agency, in which she and 5 other Democratic members of Congress urged military members to not follow illegal orders, telling them don't give up the ship. Quote, the threats of our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders, they say in the video. No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution. Trump and his administration condemned their message, contending the Democrats were encouraging members of the military to disobey their oath of enlistment. Quote, this is really bad and dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors. Lock them up, Trump wrote on his social media platform Thursday morning. White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters later in her weekly media briefing, the president expects his cabinet officials in the administration to follow the law and to demand accountability and hold people accountable for their dangerous rhetoric, end quote. Federal law, however, does not permit members of the military to break the law, even if they were commanded by a superior officer from the commander-in-chief down the chain of command. The oath of enlistment, sworn by everyone who joins the military, states, quote, they will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me according to the regulations of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. The UCMJ contains several provisions and articles that stipulate that servicemen and women are liable for a wide variety of rules and regulations, regardless of whether they were ordered by a superior officer. That includes burglary, murder, assault, rape, and property destruction. UCMJ's Article 134 is a broad provision that prohibits all disorders and neglects to the prejudice of good order and discipline in the armed forces, all conduct of a nature to bring discredit upon the armed forces, and crimes and offenses not capital, and is punishable in military court. Article 90, which covers the rules over willfully disobeying superior commissioned officer, explicitly prohibits orders that, without such a valid military purpose, interfere with private rights or personal affairs. They are also bound to follow international agreements to which the U.S. is a signatory. The International Committee of the Red Cross, which protects victims under the rules of the Geneva Convention, also states that armed service members are liable for criminal responsibility if the subordinate knew that the act ordered was unlawful or should have known because of the manifestly unlawful nature of the act ordered. Unlawful orders have come up many times in U.S. military courts over the decades, with prosecutors pushing back against the Nuremberg defense, a reference to the Nuremberg trials after World War II, in which several Nazis unsuccessfully defended their actions by claiming they were following orders from their superiors. In 1969, during the Vietnam War, the U.S. Court of Military Appeals ruled against a soldier who was convicted of killing a Vietnamese man and claimed that he was following orders. The court ruled there was no justification to follow orders if the order was of such a nature that a man of ordinary sense and understanding would know it to be illegal. And so what you need to understand is not only are there rules in place under the Uniform Military Code of Justice, but the United States is also signatory to rules of engagement under international law. So things that are happening in Venezuela and in international waters, like, targeting civilian boats and whatnot, instead of military targets. Those are some of the questions that are coming up. Are these strikes legal? Because this seems more like it's a law enforcement issue, not a military issue. That's one of the questions on the table. So that's why this is important for military members to be reminded of, because hey, if all the people who are JAG officers that you would normally ask this question to, is this an order that I need to follow, if they're gone, then it could be a difficult question to determine whether or not, for some people, whether or not this is a valid order, whether or not this is one of those things that I should automatically know I shouldn't have to follow. And it's a sad thing when they don't have anyone available to provide them with the guidance that they need. But applause to those senators who and those Congress members who, did take a stand and say, look, we've been where you are. We understand how difficult this could be, and we are encouraging you to do the right thing.
Right. And, and thank you for that. And that's the USMCJ.
Right. United States Code of Military Justice.
Right. And, and there's certain things that are common sense. There are certain things that are common sense. And we're going to get to Venezuela in a little bit. And I also believe that what's going on here in the United States with ICE and some of these Border Patrol agents just locking up American citizens and things like that, shooting them. Some people, like I said, have been killed. And I know it's been more than a dozen. I think it's more. I think it's like a couple of dozen, but I don't want to mistake or misspeak about that.
Right.
But in that case, now these aren't, well, if they're National Guard, they're doing that. They're still going under that USMCJ, as far as I know, because that's the military as well, if you're part of the National Guard. But to inflict pain on people like that, and like I said, they found that gentleman hung with his hands tied behind his back, and his hands tied and his feet tied. So guess what? He had some assistance, bro.
Right.
He had some assistance in that.
Right.
And so it is a doggone shame. It's out of control. And like I said, please, folks, it's not always what they tell you it is. And in many cases with this regime, it's never what the intended purpose is, or the intended motive, or what they say that motive is. Well, we did this because of this. But if you notice that they are deploying the ICE and the National Guard, Border Patrol to blue cities. And so you're saying that crime is on the rise only or up only in blue cities. No, we're not buying that. We're not buying that. And and then the Supreme Court, Clarence Thomas and the Supremes.
Clarence Thomas and the Supremes.
Yes. It is an absolute. It's crazy. And I can't wait for those people to get old enough to retire, or they get kicked. Let's see, the Supreme Court. What is the method? What is the method on how you can get rid of a Supreme Court member? They can be impeached too, can't they? Or can they?
They can.
They can. Okay. We just need the numbers, like you said. Like I was telling you earlier, or I mentioned earlier, I don't know whether it was a text message or we had a conversation, and I'm saying I want to see. We just don't have the numbers.
Mhm.
Instead of just impeaching this guy that holds the seat in the top seat in the White House, I want to see Article 2, Section 4 out of the Constitution implemented, and that means getting rid of the entire him and the entire cabinet.
And I keep telling you, like, okay, I'm gonna say to you what I said to you during the first term.
I know.
Everybody was upset with everybody when Nancy Pelosi was running the House, and they were like, "Why haven't they impeached Trump?" Because it is a waste of time. That's why Nancy Pelosi put off impeaching Trump until everybody just kept talking about it. She's like, "Okay, fine, we'll do it," but she already knew the outcome.
Right.
If yes, there was enough. There were enough votes in the House of Representatives to submit articles of impeachment against Trump. But when it goes over to the Senate, there weren't enough senators who were Democratic senators to remove him from office. And we knew the Republicans weren't going to do it. Now you don't even have enough Democratic votes to bring to successfully bring up the articles of impeachment. Democrats don't have enough votes to even pass that. So the Republicans aren't going to do it. They're not going to. I mean, if you bring up articles of impeachment, it's going to get voted down if you are lucky enough to even get the vote. Okay. And it certainly isn't going to pass the Senate so that he's removed from office. So it's, it's a waste of time. Let's work on something we can get done because we cannot get that done. It should be done. We, as a matter of fact, we shouldn't even be in this particular position if they had done what they should have done during the first term.
Right.
But okay, here we are, and they still aren't going to do it. He will not be held accountable by these people. So stop expecting that. And I'm just a very real cynical person when it comes. Certain things ought to be hard and fast rules understood. First thing we understand is that the Republicans are not going to impeach and certainly not remove Donald Trump. Not happening. They just don't. They don't have, number one, the moral code, the backbone. They don't have the will to get it done. Okay. It's not something they want to happen because as far as they're concerned, everything they want to happen politically is happening. They are quote unquote winning. Okay. So they're willing to deal with him in order to roll back rights for immigrants and anybody who has been able to benefit from affirmative action and diversity, equity, and inclusion. They're glad that there's been an attack on people who fall into the LGBTQ community. Everything that they have a problem with. This particular administration has no problem with delivering on, including dismantling the government as we know it, which has caused a whole lot of violations of the Constitution. So they are okay with destroying America's democracy that has stood for 250 years so they can get what they want. So the sooner we accept that and we can move on to the point of how we are going to fix this would be better. I'm just sick and tired of everybody being shocked every week about something that Trump and this administration has done. How is it that you're still shocked and confused?
You don't put anything past them.
No,
you put nothing. No, I agree with that, Ann. The only and I agree with that. I think that I am probably a lot more hopeful than you are, a lot more optimistic.
I am not hopeful at all.
Okay, all right. Well, you just answered that question. Okay, you just put that baby to bed right there.
Right.
The only way, as a country, we can get anything done is to get the numbers. Now, that's the thing that we need to work on: getting the numbers, getting the votes. I believe that we have a really good shot of taking over Congress. And there's a long shot that we could take over the Senate. Now, for impeachment, I think you're going to need 2/3 of the Senate, though. I believe you're
Mm-hmm.
going to need at least
You do.
2/3. Okay.
You do.
All right. Uh, I believe that we have a shot in 2026. The point that I'm now, if they keep defecting and dropping off like Marjorie Taylor Greene, I want a whole bunch of Marjorie Taylor Greenes to just drop out. Okay, maybe that will, maybe that won't happen. But I think also with this Epstein vote, you found a lot of Republicans says, well, there were four, and four which that I never expected Marjorie Taylor Greene, never expected Lauren Boebert, or even Nancy Mace to vote with the Democrats. Say, hey, let's get these files out. So, and when they even tried to, they brought Boebert into the Situation Room. Now, you don't take anybody to the Situation Room unless you have some deep secret plans that you want to get over to whatever legislator that you're talking to, right? And she even said, nope, I'm not changing my vote. And so I was surprised with that. So that gives me a little trickle of hope that things can change because let's face it, I think, and I know the majority of Americans are sick of this guy, sick of him because he hasn't done anything. He lies about everything and says, oh, the prices are going down, prices are going down. And then when you go to the grocery store and hamburger is what, $15, $18 a pound? I mean, whatever it is, or shucks, it's crazy. Your pocketbook. Bill Clinton said a long time ago, it's the economy, stupid. When people start feeling it in their wallets, they tend to change their tune about a lot of things. Look at your cattle ranchers, who a majority of them voted for this guy, and they are really, really sick of him because he destroyed their business. Look at the soybean farmers, and if you think about it, and what the ultimate betrayal with the cattle ranchers is that he struck a deal with Argentina, giving them a $40 billion buyout, and now talking about buying beef from Argentina to get the prices down. Come on, so when through that thick skull of yours, is there going to be an opening for hope or for rational conversations or reflection and things of that nature? Because, bro, you can't keep on hitting me in the face and tell me, no, that's your imagination. No, at some point, as dumb as some of these people are, because if you voted for them, you are stupid. I know I got a lot of pushback on that before, on another program. But no, you can't say that this guy is this and that and the other, because if you look at, well, he's good for the economy. No. President Obama said while the last election when they were running, Vice President Harris was running against this guy, and he was talking about the economy. His term, Obama says, "Look, that was my economy," and President Obama was exactly right.
Right.
That was the economy, because if you have anybody who knows anything about history, when George Bush left the White House, this country was in shambles. The stock market had gone down, housing. I mean, just every indicator that had to do with our economic status at that time. If we were down, we were in the toilet. I know the stock market crashed, housing was going out of control, gas prices and everything. And President Obama came through and fixed that. He came through and fixed that. All right. And and then you talk about, and right now, what is really upsetting me, they talk about, well, Obamacare. Obamacare was a disaster. Number one.
Apparently not.
Apparently not. Now,
apparently not.
But see, this is the thing about it is they get and they complain about everything. Now, was it perfect? Absolutely not. But what they're looking, they didn't have a plan at all. And they still don't have a plan.
And a lot of people depend on that.
A lot of people depend on it. Think about people who couldn't get insurance before, because if you had a pre-existing condition, you weren't going to get insurance.
Right.
Okay, so they don't talk about that part. But it's just like anything else. You don't blow your house up unless you have plans to build another one. Or at least you're working on it, right? Now, there are some areas that need to be worked on. So why didn't they get their complaining behinds is sitting down? Okay, this is where we can make this happen. This is where we can work on this. Improve on what you got, because before you had nothing, and years before President Obama, no other president was able to accomplish anything like that. And then and I'll tell you something else. There was a survey. I wish I had those clips. I had them weeks ago, but we went on to talk about something else. And there was a reporter out in the street, and he was asking some of these people, do you prefer Obamacare or the ACH? Oh, I like the ACH. You know what? I said, damn. I said, are you kidding me? And this guy interviewed and to a person, he interviewed over a dozen people.
They don't know what it is. They don't. That's the thing. They don't understand basics, William. They do not understand basics, and that's why they voted in all this foolishness. You have to understand this. The first time around, the first time around, and even now, you had people who have said that, okay, yeah, he did this, and it directly affects them. Directly affects them, like the man and the woman who were on, I think it was ABC World News that I saw them, and the man he was very sick. He needed the Affordable Care Act. Didn't know that Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act were the same thing. And he was like, well, even if he takes it away, I still support him. I still vote for him. And they asked him, would you still vote for him again? He said yes. And if you listen to a lot of them who complain now, they will say stuff like they would still vote for him. They will say stuff like, well, we would be even worse off if Kamala Harris had been elected.
Are you kidding me?
So no, I'm not kidding you. So this is my issue. The Republicans coined this term TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, because they all have it. Okay, every last MAGA nut has Trump derangement syndrome. Every last one of them. And my Aunt Dorothy used to tell me, crazy people don't know they're crazy. So that's why, they think everybody else had it. No, you are just like the schizophrenic, sees stuff that isn't there. Right. This is you, people. You see things that are not there. So they are still conspiracy theorists. They are still under the delusion that some kind of way the Republican Party is going to make America great again, meaning it's going to take us back to a time when it was okay to severely oppress, if not outright hurt, people who don't look like white folks, to mistreat them. That is the time that they think was great, when everybody in school was white, and all the black people had to go to a separate school, had to use separate bathrooms, when Asian people weren't allowed to come into this country because the immigration rules, kind of blocked them, when there were no immigrants from South America coming in. And they're not just stuck on him in this way, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're disillusioned with Trump. That's what you don't seem to understand. This is Trump's second term. Legally, under the amendment to the Constitution, he's not allowed to run for office a second time. He has made it clear since his first term that he doesn't plan on leaving office. He tried to stay in the first time. He probably will do a better job of getting it right this time, because this is what the Venezuela thing is all about. He's been throwing out possible people to invade. We talked about Greenland, we talked about Canada, we talked about Mexico, talked about Panama, and there's an outcry from the American people. There's an outcry from the international international players that we have partnerships with. No, we're not gonna let you do this. But nobody is crying out as much about the brown people in Venezuela, are they? So his whole thing, his whole ploy is to start a war and use that particular war as a means to stay in office indefinitely. That's what he wants to do.
I
That's
couldn't
what
agree with
this
you
is
more.
all about.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I have a little clip on this. Let's go here. Before that, I want to say hello. Hey, Bruce J. Thank you so much for tuning in. But Lil Brand, thank you. 007. Is that King Kendrick? Hey, guys, thank you so
Yeah.
much. Please share this with your friends. And this is what you're saying, and I couldn't agree with you more. All right, here we go.
Military action over near Venezuela. Here's Scott Besson.
I am very confident about job growth and the momentum that we've got for next year. And I think there's a very, very good chance that if something happens with Russia, Ukraine, if something happens down in Venezuela, that we could really see oil prices go down even more. And oil and gasoline prices are down substantially under President Trump. And that is really the key to affordability, is lower energy.
Scott Besson is very nervous lately. He's always kind of been stuttering over his lies. But now he's included this weird hand motion that every time he says something, he's trying to work his brain through how to exactly point out how they're destroying the economy. Except on accident, Scott Besson accidentally said, once we invade Venezuela and start taking oil, that's going to help with gas prices and food prices and energy all around. Because all we know how to do is invade countries and steal resources because we suck at everything. What a revelation from Scott Besson. I'm not sure if he even realized he said that. If something happens down in Venezuela, we could see oil prices go down even more. Well, the first lie is that they're going down. But I think he revealed what is that Donald Trump, again, on the campaign trail, revealed some time ago, and what they feel about what Venezuela has to offer to them. That is, for them to steal from Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
How about we're buying oil from Venezuela? When I left, Venezuela was ready to collapse. We would have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil. It would have been right next door.
He's disappointed that we're purchasing oil when we could just invade and take it. They were sitting there ripe for the picking for us to be, these colonizing invaders and take more things. Because it's a criminal in the White House. All he knows how to do is steal, lie, cheat, and steal, and not even Eddie Guerrero's style of it. Here's Venezuela's ambassador to the UN talking about these ramping up of aggressions and potential invasions and fighting militarily in his country.
Everybody knows what's going on here. There is a killer prowling the Caribbean, bloodthirsty, looking for wars, and there is no justification at all. They are fabricating a war, and everybody should stop pretending that this is a complicated matter and face the truth. The emperor is naked. Nobody dares to say it, but the emperor is naked. In Latin America and the Caribbean, as in other regions of the world, the CIA is well known for its covert operations aimed at pushing processes of destabilization, sabotage, counterinsurgency, plannings of coup d'etat, and assassinations of heads of state and government, with the purpose of installing political systems subservient to the interests of the U.S. government, puppet governments.
The exposure keeps happening. Everyone knows. He pointed it out there. They're looking to continue to raid people's countries. Everything is based in them trying to cover up their bad policies, in this case economically, with ways that they think they can make things better by taking from someone else. That's just one theory. Very smart person here, Asha Rangappa. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of her. She's a former FBI special agent. She talked about potentially some of the other dual, motivations behind this idea to invade Venezuela.
And I think where they're trying to go is to make this into a military conflict, not just with these organizations, but they need to tie it to Venezuela. I think what's going on, Paul, is that they want there to be a military conflict so that they can justify using the Alien Enemies Act internally and start being able to round up Venezuelan nationals for the means of deportation. I think these things are connected, right? Like, I think this is a Stephen Miller special, which is about using the latitude that the president has in foreign policy to essentially manufacture a military conflict that then can be used to justify certain internal domestic authorities that allow the president, in a conflict or in a state of war, whatever, to be able to remove people. That's my hypothesis.
Hey, can we stop?
Sounds like a pretty good hypothesis. This potentially this dual purpose for invading Venezuela, starting a war, illegally without the consent of Congress, starting a war so they can say any Venezuelan that we see on American soil is definitely like an enemy combatant because they have some loyalties to their home country, and therefore we have to get rid of them from our soil. It's just another aspect for ramping up, as she mentioned, Stephen Miller's bloodthirsty, hell-bent objectives of trying to deport as many people as possible, brown people as possible, because he's a rabid racist. That Stephen Miller guy is. The bad part about this whole ramp up to this war and everything is there's many smart people that know what's going on and continue to expose it. Listen closely to this, because I had to listen to it a couple times to try and figure out exactly what it is that Max Blumenthal, who was on Piers Morgan's show, was talking about with this panel. On that panel was one former ambassador, the United States. His name is James Story. Max Blumenthal, journalist, talked about what it is that we've been doing with Venezuela and other countries like that for a very long time, and how that also connects to this, new war approach that we've got.
And just to quickly respond to 2 points the other panelists made, Mike Baker accused me of wearing a tinfoil hat. The truth about the Cartel of the Suns being
I said I forgot mine.
Okay, fine. I just want to point this out for viewers. The truth about the CIA founding the Cartel of the Suns to ship cocaine in the United States was exposed to a national U.S. televised audience by Mike Wallace on 60 Minutes in 1993, back when 60 Minutes reported on the CIA and not on behalf of the CIA. And just quickly to respond to Virtual Ambassador's story, who accused me of ad hominem attacks. You are a government official. You are a veteran coup plotter, and it is legitimate for a journalist to scrutinize the activities of a coup plotting government official who in February 2021 hosted a insurrectionist summit at the Marriott Hotel in Bogota. You, with Leopoldo Lopez, the US-backed coup leader who staged multiple failed military coups and led violent riots that saw Afro-Venezuelan citizens burned in the streets. Check out Orlando Figuera. And Carlos Vecchio, the fake ambassador to Venezuela, who is actually the lawyer for ExxonMobil, which seeks to regain its control of Venezuelan fields.
Oh my God, what? The whole time I'm listening, I'm like, oh my God. Like, oh my God. I don't know any of this. Look this up. I'm still trying to find all of it, but he was talking about the years long, probably decades long movements and thoughts that these guys have had in invading and having some excuse for what it is that they're doing down in Venezuela. Man, did you see the smile wipe off of my man's face?
Mm-hmm.
The guy with the beard that he was talking to, the former ambassador? James Story. It was like the whole time he's like
hosted a insurrectionist summit at the Marriott Hotel in Bogota. You, with Leopoldo Lopez, the US-backed coup leader who staged multiple failed military coups and led violent riots that saw Afro-Venezuelan citizens burned in the streets. Check out Orlando Figuera. And Carlos Vecchio, the fake ambassador to Venezuela, who is actually the lawyer for ExxonMobil, which seeks to regain its control of Venezuelan fields.
I can't independently confirm all the things that Max Blumenthal was talking about all of these potentially nefarious setups and opportunities they've had to try and invade.
This is one of the most deeply anti-democratic opposition movements led by Maria Corina Machado, who has led several coup attempts in Venezuela. I mean, it's basically like January 6th again and again with the sponsorship of the US Embassy. Violent riots that have killed hundreds. I personally watched Maria Corina Machado attempt to take over La Carlota Air Base in Caracas while the U.S. was trying to ram aid trucks into Venezuela, which the Venezuelan opposition subsequently burned and blamed on Maduro. This is a corrupt opposition that stole millions of dollars from Citgo after the U.S. stole it from Venezuela. This is a corrupt opposition that has paid millions to U.S. mercenaries like Jordan Goudreau, who I interviewed, who has personally described to me what the real agenda here is, which was for Trump Incorporated cronies to get their hands on contracts and to plunder Venezuela's rich mineral wealth and oil. Ambassador Story revealed the agenda himself when he appeared on a straightforward propaganda piece for regime change on 60 Minutes and said, Nicolas Maduro is a bad actor sitting on the world's largest oil reserves. Well, that's why you consider him a bad actor, because there's plenty of bad actors in the world, and neither of you will condemn ICC wanted war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu or call for his arrest, will you? Neither of you will talk about Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa's role in the international drug trade through Benita and his family shipping company. I mean, the list goes on and on. I could spend the next 45 minutes talking about U.S. sponsored bad actors, but there are bad actors. The reason Maduro's a bad actor is because he's sitting on oil reserves.
Bro, it's not like he checked notes. I'm trying to figure out, because Max Blumenthal must have like an encyclopedia in his head. That's crazy. Maybe there was a teleprompter. I know it didn't seem like it, the way that he was running through all of those things that he was breaking down, that these guys, from my own perspective, I'm gonna have to say potentially were involved in, and what it is that they're up to. But it all makes a lot of sense, especially since we're positioning warships and sending all these bombers down to Venezuela for the sake of what they're calling nothing. Oh, we just want to protect the Southern Hemisphere. We want to make sure we patrol the Southern Hemisphere. There's the fact that they're doing all this to this degree means a lot more than that. This is what's happening, is they're sending things down to Venezuela with all these objectives.
According to a source, there are 4 B-52 bombers that are en route to Venezuela.
Listen to this.
There's also a report out there on social media that says that these 4 U.S. Air Force B-52H Stratoforus bombers are heading towards the Gulf of Mexico, with flight trackers showing that 2 bomber barons from Minot AFB or Air Force Base in North Dakota leading the pack. But here is the deal. This is what it costs to fly a B-52 bomber. $71,000 an hour. That's roughly $300,000 per hour for 4 of them. 6.37 hours of flight time from Fargo to Venezuela. 2-hour training or mission bombing, and then 6.37 hours back. So 14.74 total hours. That's the estimated hours here. Times 4 planes at $71,000 equals $4.186 million. According to the source, we don't usually drop money like that on a training mission.
Don Lemon's right. I know there's issues sometimes folks have with Don Lemon.
I'm gonna stop it right there. Okay, that was a lot to unpack. Okay.
Yes, sir.
A lot to unpack, but I thought it was necessary to play that because what they want us to believe is that this is all about a drug war. Now, they've blown up well over a dozen Venezuelan boats, and I think one Colombian boat also, with no evidence there were drugs on the board. Someone posted a while back, and I think I told you about this off air yesterday, and they posted this picture of all the drugs that they've seized. Okay, keep in mind, and those of you who are on audio or listening audio only, picture this. I don't have a picture of this, but these packages of cocaine, neatly wrapped, pristine condition as far as the wrapping was concerned. And if you really, really want to think about this, when they blew that boat and the people on that boat to smithereens, how in the world can those packages of drugs still be intact? When they blow something up, everything's gone. You've blown up everything. So that tells you right there there's something wrong with that, because we want to keep the drugs from coming into the United States. They want to stop it there. Folks, they're in international waters. They're in international waters. They're not near the United States. They're 2,500 miles off of the coast of the United States before they could get hit. And the boats, based on what I've learned, is that they didn't have enough fuel to get to the United States. They didn't have, so this, and most of the drugs aren't even coming in that way. All right. Fentanyl doesn't come from Venezuela. That comes from the southern border or the northern border, from China. Okay, via China, right? So this is crazy. But see, the real thing is they want the rare earth minerals. Venezuela is rich with rare earth minerals, and it's my understanding they have the largest deposit of oil in the world. That's what they want their hands on. And these oligarchs out here in the United States, they're invested in places like Venezuela. They've got money tied up somewhere to try to get contracts to get these rare earth minerals and this oil out of that. Okay, Argentina, Secretary of Finance, Scott Bessent. What a clown he is. He has investments, and his boys, they have investments in Argentina. That's why they are screwing over the American farmers, soybeans and beef, and also giving them a $40 billion payout. One other thing before I toss it back to you, Ann. 14 hours of flying those B-2 bombers down there. 14 hours. $4.16 million. How about the ships that we're sending down there?
Right.
What about the jets that we have flying over there? How much more is that adding? And we can't take care of health care in the United States. We can't fund SNAP here in the United States. Okay. You've given Argentina $40 billion. You're giving these thug ICE clowns $40 billion a year. And a lot of them have turned out to be criminals, wearing masks. Well, they're getting doxxed. They should get doxxed. They should be dismantled. Kristen Noem needs to go. Ice Barbie, she needs to go. Okay.
Don't insult Barbie.
Huh?
Don't insult Barbies. She's not a Barbie. Don't insult Barbie dolls.
I don't mean that in any complimentary way at all.
Yeah, Barbie is a lot more competent. Barbie has been around for decades. She got a home mansion, her own cars. She got all kinds of stuff. Christy Noem is no Barbie. not in any sense of the word.
She just spent $190 million on 2 private jets.
You're shocked. She doesn't know what she's doing.
But none of them, and I tell you what really gets under my skin. I'm trying to hold back. You notice I've done a lot. I don't cuss on air as much as I used to.
Stop lying to yourself.
And you've been with me for how many years? Almost a decade now. I've gotten better. I've gotten better. Okay. But this makes no sense. See, the thing
about you think what you want.
Okay, thanks, Ann. Okay,
you're welcome.
Look at this administration. Look at this cabinet. And they've got the nerve to tell me what DEI. Well, perhaps if you had some DEI, you wouldn't have all of this incompetence. Because these clowns, are you trying to tell me that Trump would have been better than Harris or is better than Harris? No way. No way at all. He can't hold a candle to her. I would put his transcripts up against hers. Okay. All right.
I put her experience up against his.
Her experience.
I'm just gonna say this. If people think it through, just think it through. If you look back to his first term of office, he was saying stuff like about Iran, get the oil. That he told someone, while you're there, get the oil, something like that. During the war, I think it was the Gulf War. So it's not shocking that all the places that he's threatened with war, Greenland, Canada, that there's something beneficial there. Panama, the Panama Canal. There's some resource there that he's interested in. The issue is the buy-in. People think, he's been getting away with violating a lot of constitutional laws, like the due process, the right to due process, because he's targeting immigrants, and a lot of those immigrants come from Venezuela. So right now you've got his base who has no love for brown people from South America. Okay, so he's hit this button, hit that button. Okay, Greenland doesn't work, Canada doesn't work, but ding 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 ding, nobody's gonna care if I target Venezuela, because they're violent immigrant criminals, according to him, that are bringing in opioids and all kinds of other drugs. And so we're going to go to war with them. And they just so happen to be an oil rich nation. So we can get the benefit of that. And then on top of that, he thinks he's found a way around the staying in office, not being able to stay in office bit. Okay, so we can't get Mike Johnson and the House of Representatives and the Senate to vote for me to stay in office another term. We just won't have any other elections. And he told people before November 2024 that they were not going to have to vote again. So if you keep this in mind, he has no intentions of allowing there to be a vote come 2028. And that's what I'm trying to get everybody to understand. Y'all keep going over the fact that the American people are he can't run for another term legally. He can't do half the stuff he does legally. He does it anyway. When are we going to realize this? The law does not matter to this man. Never has, never will. He will break it whenever he feels like it. I just want to shake people collectively, just shake you. Like, what is your problem? Why are we still looking at this in some rose-colored glass lens, thinking that these things can't happen? I just don't know how many more times he has to do something before you get that he will do the worst possible thing that he can to get what he wants. And what he wants more than anything is to remain in power indefinitely. That is what he wants more than anything else. And he's always calculating, always finding people like Stephen Miller, to help him come up with these schemes to stay in power. and they come up with these game plans, like the first term he had his disbarred lawyers, now a lot of them are disbarred or censured or whatever the case may be, come up with all these legal strategies for him to remain in power. Now he's got a whole new crew of people to help him come up with a strategy to remain in power. And he's putting that plan in place. He's dismantling the government, the federal government. Been doing that since he took office in January. And so and then he's making it harder and harder for people to go to college, because he said smart people don't like him. So
and that's true.
Exactly. So if you've got people who are more concerned about how I'm going to put food on the table, how I'm going to get medicine when I need it, who have to focus on working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet, it's going to be a whole lot easier to oppress them. It's going to be a whole lot easier to keep them ignorant, because they're not going to have time to go to a picket line. See what I'm saying? They're not going to be, may be working for somebody that won't allow them time to get off work to go vote, even though the law tells you that you should be given that time to go vote. So it's a lot easier to oppress. It's a lot easier to manipulate. It's a lot easier to take advantage of an ignorant group of people. And so now they're making it a lot harder for kids to go to school. I know this because I have a kid in school. I know a child who was just $5,000 short, of the money he needed to go to school. He hadn't had a student loan, so he went and applied for a student loan. The Republicans have capped how much money a child can get for a student loan. Cap. This child was only able to get $2,000. All he needed was $5,000. Now I can understand saying we will cap the money just to what you need to pay for school, but to force children into a bubble where you will only get this amount of money, period, and your parents are responsible for the rest. If parents could afford it, students won't be going into debt the way that they have been.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So this kid was blessed with a friend who was able to cover the rest of the $3,000 that he needed to stay in school. But let that sink in. How many people, how many kids who are smart enough to run the next generation are going to be barred from going to college because they can't afford it, and they're making it impossible for them to get the education that they need. So
you're exactly right. And so we can see right now it's definitely intentional. He wants a stupid America, stay stupid, and then he's going to come up with some plan. Or I'm going to fix it. Well, this is his strategy. I'm going to wreck everything, and then when I say, okay, I can fix this, I'm going to fix it, then you'll believe in me. When you're the villain, robbed the place, wrecked the place, ruined the place, and now he wants to play like the hero. Now, let me just share this with you. I agree that as the state, the way it is right now, he has the power. All three branches of government, including the Supreme Court, and there are still some stupid people out here that still support this guy. And just like I saw a clip, you told us about a clip earlier that these people were in ruins, and they would still say that they would vote for him. I saw another story. This farmer voted for him 3 times, and the reporter asked him, "Well, you could lose your farm. You could lose everything. Would you still vote for him?" Yep, sure would. I said, this is beyond stupid.
TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. They all have it. Every last one of them. They all have it. I'm glad Marjorie Taylor Greene is getting treatment, but at the same time,
me
they
too.
all
See,
have it.
and that's what gives me a little bit of hope, because if you kick a dog enough, I know you're shaking your head in, but if you kick a dog enough, eventually that dog is going to bite you. Now, some people are going to still allow it to be kicked. They'll allow you to kick them. They're going to allow this, and like those stupid people we were talking about. But I have to believe that one day enough people will wake up and say, "Okay, no, I can't take this anymore. I cannot take this anymore." The only way that we're going to be able to fix this is to get the numbers. We've got to get the numbers. We've got to get the numbers in the House. We've got to. It's happened before in the past. It has. Many people didn't think Barack Obama would ever become president. Many people thought that a black man could never reach those heights. Okay, it's going to take the numbers. That's the only way to do it. Us talking about it. Hopefully that we can open up enough eyes or do our part. But if enough of us get out here and talk about it, and people come to their senses, the only way we can do this is to get the numbers. That's the only way.
But this is the thing, William. When you talk about numbers, you have to be crystal clear. Right now, you have Trump in the White House. So it's one thing to have a majority in the House of Representatives.
Right.
It's one thing to have a majority in the Senate,
In the Senate.
but you have a president with veto power. So if you really want to get something done, you're going to need a super majority, which means veto proof legislation being passed.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's the only way that's going to happen with him in office. So yeah, the Congress will be able to prevent the Republicans from passing anything else crazy. They'll probably be able to, flex their muscle a bit about the Department of Education and all these, and a lot of the employees being fired. So basically they can take back control of the purse, the power of the purse, possibly. But you still got to think about it. There's probably going to be a fight between the Trump administration and Congress that goes up to the Supreme Court, and you got those folks that are still there. If you really want something to change, and I mean change at this point, it's going to have to be radical. You are going to have people who are willing not just to put a simple majority in the House, a simple majority in the Senate.
Uh-huh.
You need to put a super majority in the House, a super majority in the Senate, and they need to radically change the Supreme Court. They can, if they want to, add more seats to the Supreme Court, and then things will change. They can, if they want to, they can come up with amendments to the Constitution that everybody can vote on. That will make it a lot more difficult to harm our Constitution. They can put in place, if they want to, laws that will save our planet. One big huge thing that they can do to help people to protect jobs as well as to protect climate, protect us from climate change, is to stop this AI crap, because it takes so much energy, unclean energy, for them to run these huge supercomputers with all these servers. That if you look at the people in Memphis, and I'm from the Memphis area, I was born in Memphis, raised across the bridge in West Memphis, Arkansas. People are literally getting sick, on the verge of dying, because of Elon Musk polluting the air in Memphis so that he can run Grok, basically his MAGA AI that spews lies because he's programmed it to. And it's because he's using way more energy than legally he should be allowed to use. But Memphis needs the income, so they're kind of looking the other way and allowing him to break the law in order to run this supercomputer that he has. If you put restraints on how much energy can be used, to run AI, and that it must be clean energy, that'll stop a whole lot of this foolishness. Just that right there will stop a whole lot of this foolishness. And it will protect people's jobs, at the same time helping to, stop ramping up global warming, because of, why do we need this? I don't need Alexa to turn on lights for me. I can still do that for myself. I don't need, Chat GPT to write an article for me. I do that very, very well by the power of the Holy Spirit, the inspiration of the Holy Spirit on my own. I don't need that. And we as a people don't need that. As a matter of fact, one professor read an article last week about how students who are using these things to write their papers, they don't even have basic concepts of how to think, so that not only they pass a test, but how to lead, the next generation. They couldn't even figure out, because he used a thing that only the AI would pick up, but the naked eye couldn't see. They couldn't figure out that him adding write this paper from a Marxist viewpoint, because that was the thing embedded, so that the AI would be the one that sees it. They didn't even know to tell the computer not to add that. this thing was about an assignment that was before there was even such a thing as Marxism. But they didn't even read the assignment. And even the ones who did read it didn't understand Marxism enough to say, no, don't include it.
Right.
So this is a type, it is not a benefit to anybody. But that's just one example, of what giving us the leaders that we need. And I'll take it even a step further. Not just the leaders you need on the local level, like what they did in Mississippi when they added 3 Black people and took away the supermajority that they had in local politics in the legislature of Mississippi. You need a supermajority at the local level, at the federal level, and on the international level. We need a stronger UN, because right now you have people in place who are catering to special interests like oil, and all these other folks. If we are going to change this populism thing, put my country first, we need some people who are going to put Earth and the people of Earth first.
You're exactly right. I couldn't agree with you more. And I understand exactly what you're saying about it's having a super majority. I believe that we can do it. People, I believe that we can. It's going to take some work, and it's going to take people like you and I and other podcast hosts and other broadcast hosts to keep talking about this, getting people out there, because we had enough people that set this one out that didn't vote, that could have changed the whole dynamic of the whole doggone thing. And then we had, which broke my heart. It's my understanding 20% of Black people voted for this clown.
It was about the same as the first time. I think it was 19% the first time. Yeah.
That's unbelievable. That is really unbelievable to me. But anyway, I'm going to play this other clip. We're going to switch to something else right now. Guys, hey, tell your friends to tune in to us each and every Sunday for the Boomerang Radio Show. Oh, next weekend, I know what you were thinking, because you're going to probably take off anyway. We're off next Sunday.
Yay. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Because I was certainly not going to be here.
Oh, I know you will, my sister. I know you will. Oh, now this, I want to switch it over a little bit, because this burns me right now. Brown people under fire, Black people under. If you're not white, you're under fire in this country, and it's a doggone shame. Now, it's nothing new, but now they are more overt now. They've taken the hoods and the sheets off, and hey, they're going for it. Now, I want you this. I love this podcast here. Again, watch the language. There are 2 ladies that does this. It's called iHip. I've had it. Podcast. And these 2, there's only one. The other one is traveling, I think, this weekend. But check her out. All right. And they are funny.
Has turned ICE, Border Patrol into his own private military. That includes, but is not limited to, National Guard and U.S. military. He says it's a training ground for people. Then ICE, in their effort to terrorize Americans and instill fear, they wear masks. And the FBI knows these masked agents are being mimicked by criminals, raping people. They don't give a shit. They're all in on the mask. They don't want people to see their faces. Of course, they're led by Kristi Noem and crazy nut fucking Nazi Stephen Miller. So this is what's going on in St. Paul, Minnesota, where ICE sprays protesters in the face. Just right in the face. They weren't violent. They weren't crossing lines.
The luggage industry does not want you to know this. Most people don't know how easy it is to break into zipper luggage. You take a pen and you pop it open just like that. Then you can zip it on back up as if nothing even happened. That is exactly why we've designed Noble luggage with a hard shell and zipperless TSA-approved locks. No one is breaking into this thing. It even has hands-free features, like a cup holder. We'll put that right in there. A phone stand for your phone.
Okay.
And
all right. Let's get back. Okay, Ann. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
But
You need
anyway.
to get premium. get YouTube premium, partner. That'll cut out all those ads.
I think I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna have to. Okay. I have a few other subscriptions that I can drop, and so I think we'll do that. We'll do that. But anyway, ICE. Remember, I was saying well over a month ago that they need to be dismantled. Okay, because it's not what they said. They said, "Well, we need to." He said that, and you know, guys know who I'm talking about. I hate even calling his name. Sometime we're going back after the illegal criminals. We're going after this, and we're gonna get them out of the country. Okay, and can you imagine? I saw this article, and I think it's mentioned in one of those clips. I'm not sure whether it was in this one or not. That they pepper sprayed a 1-year-old baby. The family was at a Lowe's parking lot. They were leaving. They weren't protesting. They weren't doing anything. They just wanted to get the hell out of there, right? And they were leaving. And the dad was driving, and he had his window down, and they started pepper spraying the car. And it affected his baby. They had to take the baby to the hospital, you know. And these people hadn't done anything wrong. I saw it had another clip where they were just, let's see if I have that one. Just pepper sprayed, just bear sprayed directly into this woman's face. Shot this.
They did that on this last one that you showed.
Okay, that's the one that I was talking about. And that's a shame. That's a shame of going in and wrecking neighborhoods, you know, zip time babies going into kindergarten. Come on, man. And just like people were saying, I said, well, and going into the courthouse now, and you know a whole lot more about courthouses than I do. Okay, all right, let's put it like that. When is the last time you had a criminal voluntarily come to the courthouse and litigate anything on his own? Now, if he's there, he was locked up for whatever reason, and of course, you know, he has his lawyers and stuff like that. But these people who are going to the courthouse, apparently, to me, that they have legal status to be here. Otherwise, and they're trying to go through the process and trying to do things the right way. Then tell me, if I'm doing everything you tell me to do, then why is ICE going into the courthouses and arresting these people, detaining them, and taking them away?
Because they don't want anybody here, William. At least they thought they didn't until they realized, oh, we need these people in our workforce. That's where Marjorie Taylor Greene's wake up call came from. Oh, her construction business was hurting because she employed a whole lot of brown people. So and her constituents, some of them were complaining. So we found out the hard way. We messed around and found out, didn't we?
Absolutely.
That's what happened.
Absolutely. We'll start hitting them in their pockets. And I think that's going to cause a lot of people to wake up also. We say, wait a minute, hold it. I've just lost my business. There was a bike owner. I don't think that was in this clip. And he was talking about how with the subsidies gone, his premiums going from $7,000 a year, or his business, right? $7,000 a year to $27,000 a year. And they're saying, we don't know how we're going to make this.
Exactly.
So it is absolutely incredible. And so that's why I have some hope. I've got to. Otherwise, I'll walk around, you know, I have to believe that there are enough of us out here that can make a difference. I know there's enough out here if we get off our butts and do it. There's enough.
William. I like I said before,
I understand.
I are there enough people possibly now who would vote against Trump? Possibly. It took the first 4 years of foolishness for people to come out and all those record votes, you know what I'm saying, just to make sure he didn't win a second term. Wonderful. The issue is, will he leave? And that is that, like I told you the first time around, if you think he is acting a fool now, wait until it is time for him to come to have to leave office. Wait, just wait for it and see what happens. He's already, before he even got reelected, was talking about not leaving. He if there's ever a time when Trump tells the truth, ever, it's when he's about to do something dirty.
Wait a minute, hold.
He's
Say
gonna
it
do
again.
some shake. If there's ever a time that Trump tells the truth, and I told y'all this before, Trump don't lie all the time. When he about to do something low down and dirty, he will tell the truth. When he has done something low down and dirty, something criminal, he's told the truth, like grabbing him by the pee. He brags about it, you know, and he doesn't have a problem letting you know this is what he's going to do. He is going to do what he can to stay in office. He is going to make it so folks won't get a chance to vote. He's gonna at least attempt it, like he attempted it the first time around. So does that include suspending the right to vote because we're at war with Venezuela or something? And you know, I will say this, there's a very real chance that if he does start a war with Venezuela, it could get really bad, because what people don't seem to realize is that Venezuela has agreements with let's put it this way, they're allies of both Russia and China. Let that sink in, people.
Yes.
Venezuela is allied with both Russia and China. Russia is already trying to take Ukraine. We're helping them, and there's this pseudo NATO versus Russia thing going on. Then China already wants Taiwan, and it's ramping up its military so that it can be able to take it. Then you have their allies, places like Iran, places like Venezuela. And so you want to pick a fight with Venezuela and ramp this up another notch with Russia and China. Okay. Okay. So I'm just saying, these people don't realize why they're okay with the brown people being targeted down in Venezuela, that you may be about to really mess around and find out. Really mess around and find out.
I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. I've got this last clip that we're gonna play tonight. Let's do this, and we'll be back right after this, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's do this. Okay. Choose. This one. This is what I want. Okay.
ICE, and rather than come up with any excuses or explanations, he just flatly denied that any citizens were held at all.
There's no American citizens have been arrested or detained. We focus on those that are here illegally, and anything that you would hear or report that would be different than that is simply not true and false reporting. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Democrats are investigating the arrests of U.S. citizens after a ProPublica investigation showed that ICE has detained more than 170 citizens in recent raids. And the New York Times, citing video of federal agents tackling people and even telling a group of Latinos, including a U.S. citizen, they have no rights. This morning, the Times editorial board published an op-ed titled, "Being Latino in the United States Should Not Be a Crime," writing that the Trump administration's immigration crackdown has become a campaign of discrimination against Latinos with tactics that violate both law and human decency.
Kristi Noem is under congressional investigation. Congressman Robert Garcia just launched a joint investigation with Senator Richard Blumenthal into the Department of Homeland Security after reports that American citizens are being detained by our own government. No warrants, no lawyers, people disappearing off U.S. streets. ProPublica uncovered that at least 170 Americans have been wrongfully arrested by DHS. Many denied phone calls, denied counsel, and held for days without charges, all under the Trump administration's directions. Garcia and Blumenthal have demanded every record from the DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Garcia said it best. He said no one should live in fear of being thrown behind bars by our own government because of their race or what they look like. America doesn't jail people without cause. That's not law enforcement.
To improve the all-electric Subaru Solterra, we went back and made it go farther.
Okay, let's get back. It is absolutely crazy. And this is something that should be an insult to everyone, every Christian out there. These people claim to be Christians.
Right.
I am perhaps you can explain to me what type of Christians they are. But
not non-Christians. That's the type they are.
Oh my God.
Antichrist.
Yeah.
That's
so
what
is
they
it that
are.
they really don't believe in Christ at all and they're using it as a
Jesus said that there are going to be people who say to him, you know, Lord, Lord, didn't we do this in your name? Didn't we do that in your name? And he's going to say, I don't know you.
I don't know you.
He made them, but he doesn't know them.
I don't know you.
So if you don't understand very fundamental things about Christianity, and when I say fundamental, I mean foundational things. Jesus, you know, the red writing in the New Testament, Jesus said, the greatest of the two commandments are these: love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you do these two things, you will automatically follow the rest of the other commandments. If you just do those two things. Just two. So number one, you know, I always tell my kids, this is the way I explained it to them when they were young. You know, love your neighbor as you love yourself means, how would you feel if somebody did this to you? That's how you figure out how to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And these people, that in other words, Jesus is saying that we should have empathy and sympathy for our fellow man. These people who call themselves saints, Christians, have told folks that empathy is not Christ-like. They just lied on the Lord. And that's the thing. These people are doing more slandering of the name of my God, of my Lord and Savior, that I don't have any sympathy to them. Woe unto all of them for lying on the Lord, because you are causing other people to go astray. And woe unto you for trying to force Christianity on people, because you have never ever been told by Jesus to do that. Jesus said, go out into the world and spread the gospel to all the world. He said, spread it. In other words, tell people about him. He did not say enslave people and force them to worship me. He did not say to tell LGBTQ people that the only thing you can do is worship me and do it my way. He didn't say that, folks. He's not telling. He didn't tell any of us, anybody who believes in him, to oppress folks and force Christianity upon them. That's what demonic spirits do. Okay, they overtake you and they force themselves upon you. The Holy Spirit has to be welcomed in. So all you are to do is to preach the gospel. The Holy Spirit's job is to do the conviction, to do the converting of people. And you do that in a loving way. Jesus himself showed us how to convert people in a loving way. When he met the woman at the well who had so many men that she shacked up with, yeah, he told her the truth about her, but he did it in such a loving way, in such a kind way that she believed. And she went and told everybody about this man who knew everything about her, but still was kind to her, still was respectful towards her, didn't condemn her, because in Christ, there's no condemnation. He forgives us of our sins. And my last point is, if you still think that you are supposed to force Christianity down folks' throat, let me remind you of one of my favorite parables. Jesus said the stuff in red again. For those of you who are confused, when you read your Bible, the parables, Jesus said it. They're written in red. He said that there was a man who had sown good seed in his field, and an enemy came along and put in tares, put in weeds or whatnot. And so when it became apparent of what was done, the servants said, should we go up and remove the weeds, or the tares rather, from the field? And Jesus said, no, lest you rip out the good seed too. All right. He said, let the wheat and the tares grow together, and I'll do the separating. In other words, folks, the Lord knows that you cannot, as a people, that you are not righteous enough, that you are not good enough, that you don't have a pure enough heart to go out and look at this field and determine, oh, this person is really righteous. Oh, this person deserves. He knows your heart is corrupt, and you cannot do it. That in your quest to so-called uproot the evil from the world, that you will mess around and hurt the good seed too. Do you know how many people have turned from Christ because they now see Christianity as a terrorist organization?
Whoa.
That is an example of you trying to uproot what you think is evil and removing good seed too, because people who would have believed, who would have come to Jesus Christ, have turned their backs and are looking elsewhere because you have made Christianity look like it is evil. Okay, God knows the heart, so he will do the separating. So I'm not going to tell anybody who's LGBTQ, that they don't have the right to live here, that they don't have a right to a job, that they don't have equal rights as everybody else, because that's not what I'm supposed to do. What I'm supposed to do is spread the gospel and trust the Holy Spirit to do the conviction work, and trust the Lord God to do the separating of the righteous and the unrighteous when he returns, when he decides to bring us all to judgment.
Go ahead and preach, preacher.
I'm just saying.
And with that, that's all I have. I mean, I'm going to leave it right there, folks. I think that's going to be the last word of the night. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the Boomerang, and it's been outstanding as usual. Like I said, this is rare that we're here just alone on the broadcast. It reminds me of the days with you and me and Reverend Demery.
Those were good days, weren't they? They were
awesome.
Wow. It was a blessing.
And hopefully we provided some information that you guys can use, utilize, and take with you. Hey, but Lord Brand, thank you so much. Shay Jones, thank you. Bruce J, the entertainer, 007. Hey, guys, thank you so much. Come back in about an hour and 20 minutes because you know what I do on Sunday nights? It's Sunday Night Go. So enjoy your Sunday, folks, and we really appreciate you tuning in. And please share this with your friends, all right?
Have a blessed and happy and safe